A lot of movement occurring in GM to close out the 2013 calendar year. The biggest news is Dan Akerson, the current CEO, is retiring due to family issues in January 2014. Mr. Akerson only had a short stint at the company, though. Originally on the board of directors as part of the U.S. Treasury bailout in 2009, he succeeded Ed Whitacre as CEO of General Motors in late 2010. During his seat behind the wheel of one of the world's largest automotive companies, GM became profitable again, and by December 9, 2013, the U.S. Treasury had sold all of its shares in General Motors. On December 10th, GM announced Mr. Akerson's resignation and also his successor, Mary Barra, Executive Vice President, Global Product Development, Purchasing and Supply Chain for GM. Ms. Barra has been with GM since 1980. As an 18-year-old co-op student, she went to school and received a degree in electrical engineering from what is now Kettering University. In 1990, she graduated with an MBA from Stanford's Graduate School of Business after a 2-year GM fellowship. Since then, she moved to increasingly more challenging positions in staff, engineering, operations, and executive leadership areas throughout the company. She is also on the board of directors for the Karmanos Cancer Institute and General Dynamics. As of December 9, 2013, the U.S. Treasury has sold all of its shares of GM common stock. This closes out the government motors phase of GM, where the federal government held a substantial portion of GM, helping it avoid total collapse during the economic downturn. According to the Treasury, $39 billion has been recovered from the GM bailout. This, however, leaves at least $10 billion in taxpayer money that was never recovered. December 10th, GM announced that it will transition to a national sales company in Australia and New Zealand. The result of this transition will stop vehicle manufacturing in Australia by 2017. This puts an end to the long-standing Holden Company, which produced vehicles since 1908 and was part of General Motors since 1931. Many American car enthusiasts got a taste of Holden's excellent V8 rear-wheel drive architecture with the 2004 to 2006 Pontiac GTO and the 2008 to 2009 Pontiac G8. This move will impact approximately 2,900 personnel in Australia. Also on December 10th, GM won a case against the United Auto Workers, absolving it of $450 million in retirement benefits. Today, December 12th, GM announced selling its entire stake, over 24 million shares, of PSA Peugeot Citroën stock to institutional investors. GM has only had this stake since March of 2012. According to Steve Gursky, GM Vice Chairman, the focus on the GM-PSA alliance will be on joint vehicle programs, cross-manufacturing, purchasing, and logistics. Also today, GM has announced the sale of its 8.5% stake in Ally Financial, formerly known as GMAC. GM made $0.9 billion on the sale, with $0.5 billion as a special item listed for fourth quarter 2013. What does this all mean for GM? GM stock is currently over $40 a share, up 1.5 times its 52-week low of $24.40 almost the same time last year. It's been on a pretty steady climb over the last year or two. U.S. sales were up 16% in October and 19% in November from the previous year. Third quarter 2013 posted a net income of $0.7 billion. Shedding PSA and Ally Financial stock, removing itself from under the shadow of the U.S. Treasury, combined with continued strong sales, should make for a pretty good fourth quarter 2013 for GM's bottom line. With sales throughout the year beating previous year's records, GM should have a strong overall 2013 calendar year. How does Mary Barra fit into GM's long-term success? Ms. Barra could be both a blessing and a curse for GM. As a GM lifer and a long-standing GM executive, there's a chance she could be too indoctrinated into the slow-moving and often inefficient culture of one of the world's largest bureaucracies. However, as an engineer that's been through an amazing metamorphosis of GM over the last 30 years, while holding positions in product and operations-based areas, she may have that keen customer and product-focused edge the company needs to get back and stay back on top of the current auto manufacturer's dogpile of Toyota and VW. Let's hope for the latter.